Hey there, good morning everyone. Tuesday, the 31st of January 2023. This morning's devotional is a reading from Micah chapter 6, verse 8, which reads, He has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. Living in the world today is rather confusing with so much going on. And when it comes to following God and being obedient to God, we find that it can become even more confusing if we lend our ears out to the wise ones of the world who have their own idea of how to follow God and of how to be obedient to God. Each faith-based organization has their own set of doctrines, and sometimes these in themselves can become the very obstacle that keeps many from following and being obedient to God. For some, it would be giving as much money as possible into some prosperity scheme. Perhaps for some, it might be even serving on the church council. And the list goes on. Yet, sadly, even as we lend our ears out to the wise ones of the world, one thing is very obvious. Many fail to refer back to the scriptures, which is God's word, for clear guidance on the matter. The devotional verse for this morning give us some very strong guidelines on how to follow and be obedient to God. We find in this verse a challenge. We find a correction for us to make and a rebuke towards us. I do not know how often you think of what God requires of you, but the answer is provided in Micah chapter 6, verse 8. But what exactly does it mean to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before your God? The instruction to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before your God is that. And I challenge you to take a moment and meditate on what that verse means. When you let the truth of this verse sink into your heart, you will see that this is no casual command. To act justly means you will do what is morally right and fair. This is not just something you talk about, because it goes beyond mere words. James reminds us in the book of James that we should not be hearers of the word, but be doers of the word. And this is not something you can require of others to do. To act justly is something you must commit to doing by yourself. The challenge is in this committing to do what is morally right and fair in every circumstance, even when it's not popular. And that is the challenge. While many may say yes with their mouth, I think we've seen many actions that prove otherwise. To love mercy implies a joint loyalty and faithfulness to the love of God. This is demonstrated in our commitment to love others as well. The word mercy implies a loyal commitment that flows out of love. This is what motivates God's faithfulness to you and should be the reason for your faithfulness to Him. One way this is demonstrated is how you love others. To walk humbly is to walk carefully before God. This is being mindful of how you live before Him. The one who walks humbly with the Lord does so with modesty and without arrogance. My dear friends, when you sum this verse up, it is a call to an active faith that is lived out with actions and interactions with others and not just mere words. This verse gives us guidance on what God requires from each and every one of us. So if someone asks you again, what does God require of me? Or perhaps you think about it later, of what God requires of you, go back to Micah chapter 6, verse 8. There your answer lies. To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. May the Lord be with you. May He bless you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be with you always. Goodbye.